All right, we'll call our meeting to order and let's begin with a roll call.
Brian Bobek,
Here.
Michael Brown,
Here.
Peter Dillingham,
Here.
Randy Gilbert,
Here.
Estella Hernandez,
Here.
Edward Hillary,
Here.
Janet Smith,
Here.
Superintendent Hoffmeister.
All right, and I'll ask if we comply with the Open Meetings Act.
Yes.
Very good, and we have a quorum. Looks like we have everyone present. So we will begin with a salute to the flag and followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of Oklahoma. Its symbols of peace unite all people.
You may be seated. All right, well, members, for some of you, I mentioned this, Dr. Mack knows, I'm going to step out and I'll be right back in about 15 to 20 minutes for another obligation, but I will let Dr. Mack move on to item number 1.04 with your remarks.
All right.
So I'll be right back.
Thank you. Good morning, board members. A few comments that I have. As we mentioned last month, the National CareerTech Month, we have a campaign that has been going on, Exceptional Analytics. I know Russell and team, once we're completed with that, will provide an outline of all the great contacts and pieces that we've had with that. In one of the time periods during that, we also have launched the aerospace videos, which is a partnership with Commerce. And so that press release went out on Monday. It was also in the weekly memo. So if you get an opportunity on the new website that you saw last time, there is a new section for that outlines the pathways, middle school through advanced degree for the aerospace industry and what all of our educational entities are doing to make that happen. So when we talk about workforce in the pipeline, a great opportunity. Russell and Eddie have both been doing an exceptional job in pulling that together. And they're also a part of that aerospace, the ribbon cutting in conversation for Southern, who is opening an aviation program. Eddie had an opportunity to participate in that while I was participating in one across the state. And so had a chance to be on Channel 10 and interview about what we do in CareerTech for aviation. So great opportunity for conversation around aerospace. Also in this month does kick off our CTSO season, our CareerTech student organizations. Last night we had DECA had their live in-person conference, so kick that off. And in March, we will start BPA, FCCLA had their day at the Capitol, and then we will also at the end of this month have CTSO Day at the Capitol, and they will have National Technical Honor Society at the Capitol. So great time. Everyone is very excited to be able to start those back up. It's been a couple of years since we've had an opportunity to be in person, and so they're excited to get those moving forward. We're also featured in the Truck Driver USA magazine with our program that we currently do through the skill centers that we started offering during the pandemic, CDL driver with Central Tech and Fry Miller. So that was a highlight in the magazine. So that link will be made available in the weekly memo, so you guys can check that out. And to go along with that, February 1st, we did kick off the CDL pilot testing at 3 of the technology centers. Yay! And the testing is going very well. Jennifer Palacio has done an outstanding job keeping that moving forward. Have sent out the agreements to other schools who may be interested in offering CDL testing, and so that as soon as they sign off on the pilot, then they can move forward with offering that at other locations. With the rules that went into place February 7th from the federal level on the entry-level driver training, we did get approved on February 7th the curriculum that we can now use for a school bus driver. State Department of Ed did approve it, And so that is available now to the schools, bumper to bumper. So went into place on the 7th. We got it approved on the 7th so that we can continue to help train in the school bus driver without a substantial amount of hours added. And so continuing to move that forward. Also, next week and then into the first part of March, our procurement technical assistance group will be offering professional development to businesses, connecting them with government contracting. So you'll see their professional development kick up. And then launched yesterday for input from the technology centers, from staff and our stakeholders. National Advanced CTE is in 2017 actually started a conversation about updating the 16 career clusters. In Oklahoma, we are one of 5 that has 17 because we designated energy as its own cluster. But they're looking to realign those, and so have been working on it since 2017. They have a frame put together through the stakeholder input, so now they are taking feedback back on that and potentially have a draft outline that they will take to the Advanced CTE board in April. So looking forward to how they're moving that forward, making sure it's aligning with workforce and utilizing that updated terminology. When we worked on the cluster framework, it was back in the 80s when we started that conversation. So they're working a little change sometimes. So they're working to get input, making sure it's aligning with workforce needs and moving that forward. The last piece that I have is we did receive our peer review report from the state auditor's office. In our peer review report, there's 3 options that you can be defined. You can have a passing, or you can have a pass with deficiencies, or fail. And I'm proud to announce that our team, we received a pass on the peer review. They will, one area that they will look at is biz enrollment. One part that they'll audit, they haven't looked at that piece before. And so we did engage in that particular piece, and in that we'll just align with our biz policies. They'll do a check with those as another area. So we are great work of our staff, and we did receive a pass with no deficiencies, and so moving forward with that piece. So very excited to receive that news from the state auditor's office. So, and with that concludes my comments. We will move on to item 1.05, discussion and vote on minutes of the January 20th, 2022 regular meeting. Are there any questions?
Move for approval. Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Brown and a second from Mr. Gilbert. Are there any questions? Seeing no questions, please call the roll.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Bobeck?
Yes.
All right, motion carries. 2.01, as we mentioned, it is CareerTech month, so we did receive a governor's proclamation recognizing Career and Technical Education Appreciation Month for February of 2022. There is a copy of that in your packet as well, but I will ask Mr. Ray, Chief Communications and Marketing Officer, to read that for us.
That's right, you bet, yeah. As you know, we celebrate career and technical education all year round, and we especially ramp things up during the month of February. We've scheduled about 50 social media posts to run throughout the month of February about the many programs and services we provide, including adult basic education, OK Career Guide, tech centers, military resources, student organizations, skills centers, STEM, agriculture, and aerospace. And as part of that campaign, we officially unveiled our new website, which I talked to you about last month. And as Marcy mentioned, we also thought it would be a good time to launch our marketing campaign around a series of recruiting videos for Oklahoma's aerospace industry. This is a project that's already getting a lot of buzz throughout the state. The launch of the aerospace campaign was last week. We spent 6 months developing the first 20 of 40 total videos featuring the stories of people working and training in the aerospace industry and the many rewarding careers that that kind of training can lead to. Let me get to the proclamation from the governor. Whereas career and technical education is part of the foundation of a strong, well-educated modern workforce that fosters productivity in business and industry, and whereas the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education provides nationally recognized competency-based curriculum, education, and training for a myriad of specialized and customized courses and training opportunities, and whereas the CareerTech curriculum is developed with the input of industry professionals using high standards to identify the knowledge and abilities needed to master an occupation. And whereas approximately 426,000 students, nearly 40% of which are 9th through 12th grade students, enroll annually in CareerTech classes. And whereas CareerTech helps more than 5,600 Oklahoma businesses increase sales, improve productivity, reduce costs, and expand operations, and offers specialized occupational training to nearly 900 adult and juvenile offenders. And whereas it is fitting to acknowledge Oklahoma career and technology education that has been elevating the future of our citizenry for over a century by providing the training needed to achieve success in the workplace. And for all those reasons, the governor has declared February 2022 as Career and Technical Education Appreciation Month. As I said, we're about 2 weeks into the social media campaign. Once that concludes, I'd be happy to share all of the social media analytics. If we have time, I can show you a video of one of our aerospace videos if we have time. Is that okay with you, Dr. Matt?
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Here's the landing page for our aerospace marketing campaign. As Marcy was mentioning, for teachers, students, parents, they want to get started in aerospace. We have pretty much all the information you need here to get started. We have information on the career pathways, curriculum. If Jeremy can scroll down just a bit. Right there, we have toolkits. We have a very comprehensive resource guide for students, parents, and educators. Scroll down just a little bit more, and we'll play we're rolling out this campaign 2 videos at a time. We'll release 2 videos each week for this next several months. So we're really excited about this content. This is real meaningful content. As you can see, there's no narration. The stories are told about the people themselves. They tell it in their own words. We spent 6 months on the first 20 videos. We have another 6 months to go. We'll roll out the next 20 later this year, this summer. And so we're really excited about it. That is all I have. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to do my best to answer them.
Nicely done.
Yeah,
Thank
congratulations.
you.
I'm really proud. A big
So
thank you to
cool.
Eddie Compton, our aerospace liaison. Couldn't have done this without him. Thank you.
Item 3.01, discussion regarding the results of the February 8th, 2022 election in Love County on possible annexation of Turner Independent School District to Southern Technology Center, Dr. Lockwood.
If the board will remember, Turner School Board passed a resolution requesting to be annexed into the Southern Technology Center. Southern approved that annexation request. You then, as a board, called for an election to be held on February 8th by the patrons of that school district. That election was held and the question failed. It was 66% plus voted no. So the local patrons had their choice and they spoke, and so they will not be joining Southern Tech. And that's, like I say, a local choice. Any questions?
What were the concerns that they had about
Uh,
not joining?
There is a group in Turner, there is a retirement community, and that group sees no value in it because they obviously don't have children living with them, so, and they themselves are not going to go to a career, so I'm kind of editorializing, but that's kind of what I gather from the superintendent. That group was very
Plus
vocal.
the tax.
Yeah,
It's a tax
that
increase.
they didn't want to pay the
Some of them
taxes
are
because
concerned about that, but
they saw no
won't increase.
benefit for them or their immediate family.
That's
So
the ticket.
I'm editorializing on that, I'll drop it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lockwood. All right, item 3.02. As we do each year, we have a discussion on administrative rulemaking process and the first reading of proposed 2022 administrative rule amendments for Chapter 10, 20, and 35. Mr. Hammonds.
Thank you, Dr. Mack, Superintendent Hoffmeister, and board members. I believe you have three small documents that have a style of Title 780, Oklahoma Department of CareerTech, and then a chapter number. And the purpose of today's brief presentation is to remind us kind of our administrative rulemaking process at the Department of CareerTech. And you all will remember our beautiful books, and these were given to you after last September. I have to have fun with this because this could get a little dry if you didn't try to take the opportunity. So these rules, amendments from last year, you will recall, took effect approximately September 11, 2021. And when that happens, in essence, the next day, we really have to start working on proposed rules for the next year because we have tight deadlines that are set by statute that are non-negotiable from a standpoint of getting them done timely. Now, that doesn't mean you can't do rules any month that you want to, which you can, but there are the legislative and gubernatorial review process is different if you get them filed after April 1 is the magic deadline. So part of the discussion today is I wanted to just very briefly walk through with you our process and how we get here and what we do next month, because this is our first reading. Next month you will be actually called upon to review and to have a public hearing on these rules as well as to vote on them. And so you'll notice the first page of any of these chapters is the notice that is published in the Oklahoma Register, and it establishes a comment period time of more than 30 days so that people can submit public comments. And we make sure that our constituent groups are aware that we're in the rulemaking process. I actually did a presentation to the Tech Center superintendents in September, 4 months ago, to help them to understand our process and to see if any of them had any proposed changes, giving them an opportunity. So public involvement is very important to us. Next month, there will be a public hearing. This publication has been published in the Register, and our proposed rules are available online as well as at the building. If someone wants to walk in and say, you know, if I don't have computer access, how can I get a copy? Well, they're available at the building, but they're also available online. And so, very briefly, I just want to bring your attention to chapters 10, 20, and 35. In chapter 10, the changes, and we might just kind of hone in on the front page on the summary, because I don't think I need to go through rule by rule to show you. But basically, these proposed amendments are driven by the fact that there have been some changes with regard to the threshold dollar amount for federal audits. It went from $500,000 to $750,000. Our rules still reflected the older amount. We need to catch that up. It's not a big change, and so when you go in there and look on basically the first page, all we did is we struck through the $500,000 and put in $750,000. There's also some proposed amendments that basically updates our process from the standpoint of our local applications, not requiring that they be mailed, but allows more flexibility in how those can be delivered, and clarifying some of the programs that are offered in comprehensive schools that acknowledge that some of our classes in certain areas, or in one area, goes down to actually to 5th grade. And I think our present rules say 6th grade. It's what we're doing, it's what we're working with the State Department of Education on. They're aware of it, and so we just want to make sure that our rules are consistent with our practice. I'm going to go ahead and jump to chapter 20, and then I'll take questions all at one time unless you have specific. Chapter 20 is the rulemaking changes having to do with CareerTech programs. And these amendments basically includes clarifying what type of program CareerTech programs need an advisory committee. And we're very strong and committed that if you have an approved CareerTech program, you need to have an advisory program. And so the language before that was requirement only for a full-time program. And so now it is a requirement of any approved program. So if you had a part-time program, we want you to have an advisory committee. It's not overly burdensome, but it is very helpful to make sure that you have that connection between business and industry and education. The other requirements are clarifying a definition of what a part-time STEM program is. And when you're reviewing these for next month, and I'll send you another copy, but you'll notice on what's numbered as page 1, there's a highlighted area up there. I actually tell you what pages the proposed changes are. I mean, some of these are a simple word being underlined on a page, and you have to look very, very hard for some of these to even find them. But in chapter 20, in essence, we have clarified over on page 10 what is a part-time STEM program, and it's a part-time program shall include a minimum of 3 approved CareerTech science, technology, engineering, and math education, 8,000 level courses, and that 8,000 level is a reference to OCAS coding. So members of the Board of Ed, and you are well familiar with the OCAS coding, and so we're clarifying what a part-time program is. And then over on page 11, there was just a missing word in paragraph B as in boy. The word program somehow got inadvertently left off. Jumping to chapter 35, and this is the chapter that currently is entitled Adult Basic Education, and the language that is being used across the nation now is adult education and family literacy. So we are correcting and updating the language as far as not only the title of the chapter, but also then going through, like on page 1, making the changes so that we throughout are being consistent throughout, talking about adult education and family literacy. Some of the other amendments are really, there's kind of 2 categories of them. The first category is just for improvement of reading efficiency. I always suggest to staff, if you are going to, don't open a rule to do some punctuation changes or a spelling change, but if you've got several of them and you're already opening the rule, then clear up everything you can at one time. So there's several of these, there's some grammatical errors, or grammatical preferences maybe even, I wouldn't even say necessarily errors, but some things like that. And then some clarification so that when customers or programs might be using these rules, it's more clear and more efficient as to exactly what is meant by some of the terminology in there. So this is just a general walkthrough, kind of give you the background information as to how we got here and why these rules are being proposed. We'll have a public hearing in the March meeting. Then as soon as that is completed, obviously if any comments come into the public from the public, we will share those with you. If you get comments from the public, like in writing, share them with us so we can put them in our administrative record and show the governor's office and the legislature that people are reading these and they are commenting on them. And so we'll share any comments with you. You get to make the decision next month at the board, and then we'll get them filed by April 1. That starts the review process with the governor and the legislature so that we can once again get back to the September deadline. So this is one of those things that we publish in January to get the rules in place by September. Long, redundant, but thanks for letting me be excited and being here. Yes, sir.
Bottom of page 1, chapter 35, HISET, that acronym means what?
That is the name, that is the company name of one of the tests that is currently used in adult education and family literacy. Dr. Mack?
Yes, we.
What is that test for us? What's that?
There are 3 brands of tests. There's a TAS, HiSET, and GED. So those who choose to be a provider have an opportunity to choose which of those tests, which gets you to a high school equivalency, which vendor that they choose to use.
And those are done on 1 year at a time? Is it, because they're a vendor, in other words, right?
Yeah,
So
they're a vendor.
everything's just like any
All
other vendor in the
contract.
state, right? Okay,
Yes,
gotcha.
and
Okay.
we offer all 3 so that
The schools can choose.
they can choose
Gotcha,
which
okay.
one.
Gotcha.
And HiSET and TAS economically have had more members choose because it's a little bit more economical for
Then the-
patrons,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I think it hasn't been that many years that when you talk about adult basic education tests, we use kind of generically the
GED.
the test that was chosen most often was the Brainberg here.
Pearson GED.
Right. And so we have those other 2 vendors, and it's to help us get away from talking about sheet rock and wall art, and there's a difference.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
That. And I know that's a thorough, multi-step process. And thanks for spelling that out for all our new members as well as a good reminder for the rest of us. Item number 4, which is to a proposed executive session and possible vote on, of course, approving the resignation of Dr. Mack and the appointment of an interim state director and establishing a hiring process for the state director. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Okay, second, okay. All right, then we shall. Let's call the roll.
Mr. Bobeck?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Superintendent Hofmeister?
Yes. All right, we will go into executive session now at this time. Thank you.
Dr. Mack in.
That's, I don't know, what do you guys want? Is there, help to have a
You figured what?
I was thinking I'd be back by 2, but by the time I stop, you will stop at like 10.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Another day. We were eating some big things and really. It was so good. So good. So good.
Okay.
All right.
I would move we come into open, that we move into open session.
All right, we have a motion to move into.
Second?
Second. All right, please call the roll.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Brown? Oh, sorry. Mr. Bobeck?
Here.
Superintendent Hoffmeister?
Yes. All right, we will be moving out of executive session into open session. Just let the record reflect that, excuse me, we did have candidates for the interim position in. And we also did not make any votes during executive session. So now with that, I would make sure we're on the right agenda item. What's our agenda? Item number, what? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Now we've got
4.01.
now 15 of
Okay.
them all at one time. Item number 4.01, which is now C, vote on any action. Let's take this in a couple of parts. I would entertain a motion to accept the resignation of Dr. Marcy Mack.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Let's, any discussion? First, I would like to say thank you so much for the tremendous work and leadership over the last 7 years. It has been tremendous as we have seen the agency move through your leadership with continued improvement, the work that you have done at the national level, representing Oklahoma in your role as president of the national organization as well. And we just appreciate your service tremendously. I'm so sorry.
It's been a true honor to be a part of the CareerTech system for almost 30 years and exceptional work, and I will still have the opportunity to engage with education at all levels, so thank you very much.
Yes, we are excited about your new position as well. Thank you. All right, with that said, please call the roll.
Mr. Bobeck?
Here.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister?
Yes. All right, that motion carries. Thank you. Thank you again. Now, we will also consider a motion to approve. First, I'm going to say a motion for I'm going to let you do that.
Sure. I believe what you're discussing is a motion to make a contingent offer to a candidate, and I believe that person was named candidate J.
Okay.
And with the starting date of what?
Effective immediately?
Effective immediately, okay.
Okay, so I make a motion that we make a job offer to candidate J.
Can we make that effective tomorrow?
effective-
Sure.
And make that effective tomorrow,
Yeah,
Tomorrow's
we're in the
day.
middle of a day.
which is February 18th, 2022.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All right, any discussion? Seeing none. All right, please call the roll.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Bobeck?
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister?
Yes. All right, that motion carries. And we will charge our, Mr. Hammond's in making contact and making that offer. We also have I would entertain a motion to form a subcommittee, which would be a search committee. And we would nominate Mr. Gilbert, Mr. Bobeck, and Mr. Hilliard to be members of that, to work with pursuing a national search organization to help with that as well. Is there a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Second?
All right, motion and second. And would you like Kara to make any
I was
comments?
just going to say, my understanding from executive session is it's the interest of this board to use a search firm, not to receive the applications directly. And so we will be hiring a search firm. The board members have expressed interest in finding a suitable candidate diligently, but not hurriedly. And so that we're not putting a short time frame on this, but at the same time wanting to work diligently to find a new successful candidate, and that you're doing a search committee who will be able to help us with the process. And the search committee, the three, is less than a quorum. They do not have any decision making, so want to make sure that no outside persons feel like that that we're trying to violate the open meeting law or anything like that. We're going to stay consistent and legal with that. So.
All right, very good. Any other comments or questions? All right, seeing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Bobeck?
Yes.
Mr. Brown? Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Superintendent Hofmeister?
Yes. All right, that motion carries as well. All right, with that, we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is unanimous. All right, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you so much.
This might have been the longest one I've been in.